What tools do you need to be an EV installer? I'm going to be running through today all the tools that I use, the essential ones such as a deburring tool, all the way through to the luxury sort of tools that you don't really need, but it's going to make the job a lot quicker and faster and give a better finish, such as the legendary spit gun. This video is just about tools and how to use them, and you can make your own mind up on what products to buy if you're looking at getting into this game. So the very first thing that I get out of the van are my Velocity work mats. You can get these in 3 different lengths. I think it's a 2 metre, a 1.5 and a metre mat, but don't quote me. And they're really good. And on the longest one, in the middle, you get these like rubber grips. So if you're working and there's hard floors, they won't slip about. The next thing is I find myself working in dark spaces quite a lot. Under stairs cupboards, for example, and I'm going to be turning off the power later so I won't have any light. So at the minute, I'm using this Scan Grip Connect all-round light. Now what's nice about this light is that this diffuser over the top, it isn't blinding, so I can look at this quite happily and not get blinded. And inside it, I've got Makita batteries. You can get different adapters to slot in this, so this will suit DeWalt, Milwaukee, Makita. The big brands are all supported by Scan Grip. The next thing is a decent tool bag. So this is the Velocity Tech bag. I've had loads of tool bags over the last 20 years. I've had loads of Vito bags as well. You know, I'm not going to knock them, they're good bags. But this one has definitely been the best one so far that I've used. And inside here you're going to have your general hand tools. All your screwdrivers, cutters, levels and bits and bobs. I'll just show you around this bag quickly. So in this compartment I've got plenty of room for all your general tools. On this side I've got my tapes hanging here, my Marksman, essential for marking holes, far easier than using a pencil. My stud buddies, don't need those for EV installs generally. On the other side, tape measure, Nipex twin and earth cable strippers, EV Ultra cable stripper, we'll come back to this later. And I've got a pad saw there. In the back of the tech case, there's room to put a little hand drill. I've got some Wearer screwdrivers, continuity testers, or volt testers, whatever you want to call them, spare battery, angle adapters and other bits for the drill. So this is a really good all-rounder tool bag where you can go into a job and you've got a drill, you've got all your hand tools, your tapes, and you've got a few additional pockets where you can put earth sleeving and stuff like I have in the front here. Oh, and I've got a head torch, some drill bits and a load of Wagos. I have a battery bank on the back of the van, and that's because I always use a 240 drill. The reason I use a 240 drill is I have burnt out 2 battery SDSs this year and I refuse to buy another one until this bad boy dies. And this has been going on for years and years. I drill a lot of 20, 25, 32 mil holes, and the battery SDSs that I've had so far simply don't have the guts and they just burn out. So I plug my drill into my battery bank. I've got a full video on this battery which I'll leave in the description below, and the joy with this, it means that I don't have to use my customer's power at all. I'm not running extension leads from their house, but I can also use this to put on their Wi-Fi once I've turned off the power, because lots of people work from home these days, including my client today, so they can keep going while I've got the power off. A bit of PPE. I am using the 3M Peltor ear defenders at the minute. I'm going to do a proper review on these. They're amazing. It's got a microphone on it as well. You can Bluetooth this to your phone, so while you're working you can like listen to music or you can take calls. You don't need these though. I've also got some cheap old ones which just do the job, but I like my gadgets, so I've got those. The first thing I like to do is get my cable in place from the charger to the consumer unit. So I get all my holes drilled first of all and install the cable. I always go through first of all with a 10mm SDS bit. It's a double skin wall, so I go through and hammer on the first one and then go through the second course slightly on hammer and then go the rest with the drill off hammer, which means I won't blow the wall inside. And with these ear defenders, it's got an on button there, just push that. It says power on, put them on, and then everything to do with my phone, I can just operate through this and on the buttons on the side. When I'm drilling, I also just hold a dustpan underneath where the drill bit is, which saves me cleaning up all the brick dust later on. And this is a white painted wall. If I don't use this, the brick dust is going to go down the side and there's a pain. You've got to wipe it all off. And if it's wet, just use this. It just saves the mess. Once I've got to that stage with the 20mm drill, I'm going to go inside, drill from inside out. Now because I've drilled that in that order, I have a nice clean hole this side. And I also have a nice clean hole this side, apart from a little bit of paint which can't be helped. Next, cable prep time. I use the DLine EV Ultra cable clips and I have them in this little velocity pouch. Non-essential, you can just use your pockets. But I like this because it's got a clip on the back which you can clip to your tool bag, or you can clip to your trousers like that. So they're readily available. This is the Spit 27E nail gun. It doesn't come in black. I sprayed mine. Again, a non-essential item. You can just use screws and wall plugs, but I invested in this because I like to get the cable run done as quick as I can. So I'm just working then at the consumer unit and a charging point. And this will literally save you a ton of time. One thing I will say about this is, as you can see, it's not working. And it's got levels on the side, and this tells me that my gas is super low, and I don't know if I've got a spare one. But fortunately I do, which you just pop in the back there. And now when I push my levels, it still says 1, but let's push some gas through it. This is unreliable. The Rumpotech cable roller. Couple of £100 this, which seems like a lot of money, and yes, it's a luxury item, and you can use just normal cable horse instead, but this to me is an absolute game changer. Storage wise in the van, takes up no room, dead easy to use, and you can use it on massive drums. It's always the 6mm EV Ultra cable from Doncaster Cables for me. It just works. And I use the high tough version unless I'm burying it. It's easier to work with, saves time, a little bit cheaper than SWA I mean. And there's different sorts, so I always use the one which has got 4 pairs inside it. You can get EV Ultra with 1 pair, which is great for the CT only, but if you need a hardwired internet, you're screwed. For me, I've invested a lot in tools, but the efficiency it's given me is unbelievable. And you can simply reel off the cable. The Rumpotech's a no-brainer to me. Get one. And just so you can see how quick and easy these DLine clips are to use, rather than getting a cleat, screwing it in, I'm just laying this up, wrapping the clip round, job done. Now, if you have an apprentice, I'd probably suggest don't let them use this and let them do it the old school way. And we've all got to learn the basics. When you knock the knockouts out, what I found is that depending on the brand, the gland doesn't quite fit because of the paintwork. So if you use your deburring tool and just go around the edges and take it off, and those little notches, the gland goes in a lot easier. Get a deburring tool. The pop-up table. Now this is an essential item to me. I've put my back out before, bending over all the time, so if I can keep everything working height, I'm going to do that, which gives me a nice platform to put my tools on, and my T-stack drawers. My T-stack drawers is a little bit of organised chaos, so it could be neater, but I'll show you what I've got in them. Top drawer, SDS drill bits, wood drill bits, hole saws, smaller drill bits. I do a bit of carpentry, so I've got drill bits like that, cone cutters. Basically every drill bit I'll ever need is in here. Next drawer, wall plugs, a variety size, a variety of screws, plasterboard fixings, brown wall plugs, some more drill bits I couldn't fit in the other drawer, and that's that. Next one, loads of Wagos, RJ45 connectors, ferrules, and some other odd bits and bobs, lock-off kit. And then finally, in the bottom one, I have a selection of penny washers for different applications, grommets, crimps, RJ45 covers, fusers, 3.5mm screws, couple of brass screws, spare bits for the old EVs, and that's about it. And that's basically all the bits that I ever really need, and I've got them always with me, all in one place. A few hand tools that I think are essential for EV charging. Ferrule crimpers. I'm using the Klein ones at the minute. I've got the Nipex ones also, but genuinely I found that the tension on these is better, so I'm running with these for a while. One of these Nipex cable strippers, great for stripping back the data cables. A punching tool, you're going to need this on chargers like the Indra. It's one of those things, you won't use it very often, but just keep it in the bag. RJ45 crimping tool, again I do a lot of internet connections, so get yourself a set of these. The EV Ultra cable stripper, this is an absolute game changer and a massive time saver. I'll show you me stripping a bit later on, but this is an absolute no-brainer. Get the Doncaster cables one though, because there's some other third-party brands and they're not as good. Take my word for it. This is the best one to get. Just Google it. All the other hand tools are just stuff that you'd normally get. Screwdrivers, make sure you got those. In the van, I've got my Torque screwdriver set. I'll show you that in a bit. Get yourself a set of that, because a lot of these EV chargers, you need to torque up your terminals in order to validate the warranty for the charger. So just do it, because there is such a thing as over tightening connections, believe it or not. So just follow the torque instructions and do it. Now when I cut my EV Ultra, there's a couple of tools you can use. The first one, which is in my essential list, are just some croppers. You may need two hands for this, but I just rest it on my knee. And that cuts pretty easy. or you can use some fancy tools, the Nipex step cut. And I'll just cut the end so you can see that. And they wrap all the way around it like that. But again, and you can do this one-handed. So if you want to invest in a good pair of cutters just for this cable, get these Nipex step cuts. These Nipex step cutters are a relatively new addition to my tool set. And after just trying them out then, and just seeing how easy it cut this cable, I'm going to move these into my essential toolkit. So if you've got the money and you work with this a lot, get yourself some Nipex step cutters. These are the larger ones, by the way. There's two sizes. This is the bigger one. Cone cutters, another essential tool I'm going to put in the list. It's not often I use it really, but on a job like this, basically this pod point was installed at another property, badly I might add, and all they'd done was they put a 20mm hole in the back, stuffed the cable through and didn't seal it or put any glands on it. So I need to enlarge this, and this will do it perfectly. Now that fits in lovely. Deburring tool, always worth doing this, because sometimes if you've got a gland with a short thread, the burrs will stop you being able to nip it up, or it might just fall off. And if you're doing this, just invert the gland like that, so it looks like that, but nip it up. Marker pen, essential. And so the EV Ultra cable stripper, this literally, you lift that, you can put your cable in it, and inside there's a little blade which can spin. So you can put it on your cable, it will go in the right direction, and you can wrap it round like this. I'll just show you. So you've got it on like that, just spin it around. That little blade is now pointing this way, and then pull it towards you, and that blade will spin and cut along this length. And this will just peel off. It's worth getting a scrap bit of cable in order to get the depth of that blade right. It's adjustable by that little screw at the bottom, because you do the same on the next layer of insulation and you don't want to damage the inner cores. Mastic gun, you're not going to want to leave home without this if you do a lot of work outside. There are some fancy ones, but this is just a screw fix special, £7, does the job. I haven't installed a pod point before. I've only ever removed them from people's houses. So I don't know if they come with any washers with the seal on the back. But in my washer drawer, I keep these washers, and they do have the little seal on the back. Get some of these. You don't want to be called back because your charger's blown up. And it's starting to rain, which will take me on to my next absolutely essential item. This is my van canopy. This has saved me so many times. Lock your doors out. And chuck it over. It's just got these little hooks which just hook onto the bottom of the door. And get yourself some of these little clips, because you'll end up with a pool of water on top, and you don't want this to give away like that, because it would be carnage. So clip this onto the seal at the top of the van. You are going to have to monitor this though, because you're still going to get that pool of water, and if it does get too heavy, I have had this end still collapse. The torque screwdriver set that I am using is the Wera one. Inside here you get the main handle, and on this there you have all the torque settings, and the way to adjust it is you simply push that bit there down like that, and then you can twist it, and there's an arrow there which will eventually land you on where you want to be. So the pod point charger requires torque setting of 1.75. So I need to spin it back. Where's my arrow? So that's there, and then it's a flat head, which I have plenty of here. That simply pops in like that, and you're ready to go. And if you've never used a torque screwdriver before, what happens is you'll hear it clonk basically. Like so, tight enough. If you over tighten, you can damage the cores. And if you under tighten, well, we all know what happens there. So that's it, job done. This is the Milwaukee M12 Drill. I can't remember what model it is, and it doesn't help that I've sprayed it. But this little drill is going to get you out of trouble in all sorts of situations, like it will today. So with these, I can nipple these up. Can't get that one. Can't get that one. So with this drill, the front bit pops off like that, and it has this angle adapter which you can just pop on like so. Pop your bit in it, and then on this, where I'm too close to this wall, I can now knit these up. This is possibly my most favourite drill that I've ever bought. In order to test your EV charger, you're going to need a tester. And I am currently using the Mega X1, which is new to me, which brings me onto the EV adapter. I've got this pod point in test mode at the minute, which means I should be able to carry out all my testing without the random delay. I'm going to do a video on how to test an EV charger. If you're interested in that, let me know in the comments below. Testing this does not take long, and you just carry out your normal tests. What these buttons basically do, in fact, I'll make another video on that. So get all this testing done. The other thing I do is I have an app on my iPad called Notability, which it's a bad time to show you it really, because I've had to do a hard reset on it and delete it and reopen it. But you can just make all your notes on it and take photos of your results, which is exactly what I'm doing here. Then you've got a hard copy of all your results. I need to say my thank you to all you guys who have bought me coffees over the last couple of weeks. Honestly, you guys are absolute gentlemen, and I really do appreciate it. So I'm not sure where I got up to last week, so I'm going to start with Brian Nutchie, thank you. Bothwell Electrical Services, thank you. Martin Burgess, I'm sure I've said that name before, thank you. Devon Terry, Rob Moore, C. Vassini, Trevor, Sam C. Janus, J&M Electrical Services, Liam Holiday, MMBK Electrical, and Sebastian, thank you. I do really appreciate it. If you do appreciate the videos that I make and you want to show a little bit of support, please feel free to buy me a coffee. The link's in the description below. If you don't worry. No, it's cool. We're still friends. That basically concludes the tools that I think you need for a basic EV install. I hope you found it useful. Subscribe to my channel. Bye.